Hello and welcome to 60 Minutes or Less, a new podcast from Birthday Cake for Breakfast. I'm Andy Hughes and it's a trip to mark our 5th episode with our guest Peter Brewis, a Northeast musician of note. Alongside brother David, Peter is the other half of the brilliant Field Music. He's also released a solo record as The Week That Was and collaborative albums with Paul Smith and Sarah Hayes. In October 2023, Peter released Blowdry Colossus, a solo album of mostly instrumental wonky synth-pop influenced by the likes of Yellow Magic Orchestra. The record was the first solo outing from Peter since The Week That Was in 2008, though as with that album, brother David played on both records. By the way, I'm calling him brother David because whilst he's not a member of the clergy, it's just easy to do so. The recording of this actually took place back in late 2023. Ahead of a sold-out show at the Castle Hotel in Manchester, I caught up with Peter in the glamorous backstage area, or should I say a tiny room above the stage that was stuffed with equipment. If you had Peter discussing making a metal album on your podcast bingo card, you've won a prize. The keen-eared amongst you might even hear bonus Brewis content with the arrival of brother David. There it is again. It really was that tight for space. As ever, if you like what you hear, give us a rating, tell your loved ones and share on the internet, or maybe even print off transcripts and hand them out in the street. Anyway, enjoy. Last time we were in a room together, we were just discussing earlier. I'm pretty sure it was in the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Would have been, yeah.
In the not odourless, but quite smelly downstairs where the kegs are and all the rest of it. At the time we were discussing making a new world.
Yes.
And the after effects of World War One. Things have moved on somewhat and we're in a completely different territory now. It's, strange footing to meet each other on again, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was a long time ago, and I feel like a lot's happened since then, in the world, and, we've probably both done like lots of different things, but, Yeah. And that was very much a field music thing, the making a new world thing. It was, it was a commission, and we tried to do our best with the, with the idea that we were given, and we tried to develop that idea into something that would be kind of good, entertaining, and and challenging as well.
I just like the idea that one moment you're with David and you're doing this album about the after effects of World War One. The next minute we see you, and as you say, lots of things have happened, including in field music, but the next time we see you, you've got Blowdry Colossus and you've got this nostalgic wonky synth pop. Yeah, as I say, it just seems like quite a drastic move, but at the same time that does kind of feel very field music in a sense.
I mean, I think maybe Dave's the same, but when we do a solo thing, I think it ends up being like quite focused on a particular thing or a particular genre, where I think field music's not really like that. Really, it's a bit more of a collage of all of the different things that we're kind of into at any one time. But I mean, if we have like an obsession, then we kind of generally go for it on our own a bit. So Dave did his last solo album, and he was very much into this kind of like acoustic world, wandering acoustic world. And I kind of got into, Yellow Magic Orchestra. I'd been playing on my Nintendo again, my Super NES. So I was kind of interested in that world as well, watching my, John Carpenter films. And then, listening to lots of instrumental music, like jazz stuff and classical things. And actually it was like Ryuichi Sakamoto specifically, where I thought, actually, I could do an instrumental album, and I don't need to have like a big jazz band. I don't need to have an orchestra. I just need to have a bunch of synthesizers, and I can make tunes. I can make textures. I can make rhythms. I can be in control of it, and I'm going to try and do that. Really, try and do that sort of thing.
Do you think that maybe is the best thing about, like you say, with David? He wanted to do this, acoustic, wandering sort of thing, whereas you were obviously playing your Nintendo, like you say, in the same year when it was released.
Yeah.
But do you think that's what works between yourself and David when you say, I want this to be the solo record, that it's you that explores it rather than David nudging you with an acoustic guitar saying this is the next one, or similarly
we never do that with field music. We never say, oh, this is the next way, this is how we're going to do the next field music album. It's just whatever we've got, bring it to the table, and we generally don't have a style or something in mind really. But yeah, we go off and we'll research our own little research projects, almost like, oh, we're going to try this thing out, Dave's going to try this thing out, and it's on our own steam, and then we might bring the things that we found out about it together into the next field music record.
I do find it interesting as well that it was this year that you both produced the records, or at least released the records. Obviously we've had a couple of years since or last field music record.
Yes, we had Flat White Moon in
2021.
Was it 2021?
Maybe.
I should know. And I can't remember.
Making a New World. I remember that coming out in COVID.
Yes,
I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was 2020. So and we did our last gig for that just before lockdown
at the Soup Kitchen. Yeah, it was downstairs, wasn't it?
So, and then so it would have been 2021 Flat White Moon.
Yeah,
mid 2021, I think.
You mentioned the instrumental aspect, and you were getting into your instrumental music and such. And the new record itself, save for one song, is largely an instrumental affair.
Yeah.
How much thought went into that in terms of when the material itself started to form? Was that I know you were saying that you could come to it via the synthesizers and such, but was it a case of things started to form and you were decided that maybe we will stick to this formula? Or formula's not a good word, but you know what I mean?
It was kind of a formula, or like a couple of, or two or three different formulas, let's say, where it was. But I think that was the thing really. I think lots of classical music has a form, like a formula, like say something like rondo form or something like that. There was like a tune and then another tune, or sonata form, where you have like these contrasting sections. And I thought, I want to do that, but I don't have an orchestra, and I can't really. I don't want to do like classical music. But I think it was listening to Sakamoto and guys like that, and Harry Hosono, where it's like, they are doing classical music. They're arranging it in a kind of it doesn't sound classical, but it's like it's structured like that.
Yeah. And
it's like how you put a tune next to another tune and have that contrast, these contrasting ideas. And I've always written loads of stuff, loads of art, loads of like bits of music, and then sometimes I can't turn that into a song. I can't. What am I going to do with it? I just have to shove it to one side because I'm in the world of writing songs. That is the kind of field music. I've done instrumental stuff before, but it was like very particular. Not many people wanted to listen to it. So I think that was the thing, as I had loads of bits of music. Yeah, I mean, again, it was probably I wrote lots when I had COVID. I had a full week where I couldn't see anyone. So just from 8:30 in the morning to when I went to bed, I just wrote stuff. Just sat down at the keyboard, coffees all the way through the day. Had something to eat. Did a bit more of writing stuff. I never get that amount of time to write something. So it wasn't nice having COVID.
It's not a nice thing to think about, but for a lot of people, it kind of was a productive time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and and God forbid anything like that ever happened again. People say that it will happen again, but what I need to do is be disciplined and say, right, I'm having a week where I don't do anything. I'm just gonna, or I don't see anybody else. I'm just gonna focus on making, and that focus. That's when I came up with all the stuff where I wrote loads of songs as well, which may surface on the next field music record. Yeah, like you said, I think lots of people probably found that being locked away for a bit, it's like, well, what else am I going to do? I'll be trying to be productive with my time.
Do you find the idea of like a writer's retreat, like
when you say writer's retreat, it sounds a bit like
it's very American sitcom.
It's like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna get in touch with myself.
Yeah.
But the idea of retreating, having that discipline to retreat from society in a way, just for a bit, just have that focus. I think I'd really like to have a go at doing that again at some point. Once every 2 or 3 years.
Ambitious.
But I did go a bit, you know...
Did you?
A bit mad.
Lindsay Buckingham.
No, not that mad. Not that mad. But I did go a little bit sort of like, what am I? Like kind of cabin fever. But I think making the music really helped with that.
In terms of that, I mean, certain artists dare not tread out of comfort zones because, you know, for whatever reason, may potentially critically they might not want to do it, or, you know, ambitiously or what have you. It's never seemed that much of a... This sounds like a really loaded question, I promise it's not. It never seems to... It seems like you and David have both got the ability to go, actually, we are going to do this and we do want to do this. And so, do you think periods like you've just had where you might have gone a bit mad, do you think it's good to have that comfort to be able to go, actually, we will write this and we will make a song that sounds a wee bit like a Crash Bandicoot level, at the intro at least? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of mine and Dave's problems, if he might not mind me saying this, he might. He might disagree completely. Is I don't think it's a problem, and it's also quite good as well, as I don't think we're particularly ambitious. You know, in terms of being like popular or anything like that. It's really nice. Yeah. You know, when you go to a gig and there's some people in there, or you know, the lads from Memphis Industries, if you ring, say, oh, we've sold, you know, a few hundred records of this, and you think, oh wow, that's good, that's not bad. But I don't, you know, it's like we never. I think I can speak confidently for Dave here. I don't think we ever aspired to be playing at stadiums or anything like that, or we just didn't. You know, never did. But I think we're kind of restless and probably ambitious in terms of like what we can do music wise. I think we want to have fun, really. Hopefully that kind of comes across, maybe in the music, you know, or maybe it's fun. We want to keep ourselves like interested, you know, like, oh yeah, this is interesting for us. Maybe that, and hopefully that'll come across in the music. That there's a level of enthusiasm there. Maybe it's like some risk taken. Yeah. Maybe I hope that comes across. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yeah, and I would say it definitely comes across, particularly in a live setting. It never seems that it's... Well,
the live setting's going to be particularly risky tonight because, you know, there is a little element of like, we don't know what we're doing, which I really like. It's a bit nervous, but like we are looking at each other like, what are we doing? You know. Does
that feed into perhaps the synthesizers?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like the old synthesizers where they're a little bit chaotic.
Yeah. And
you don't really know what they're going to do. You know, so we've got digital old FM synthesizers, the Yamaha FM synthesizers, and then we've got a couple of analog synthesizers, and they're both really unpredictable in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not sometimes whether they're even going to work, or whether they're going to like, because we've got to try and get them to talk to each other. The synthesizers like kind of meant to talk to each other as well. It's like, oh my god, what are we doing? Why are we trying to do this live? I think that's why we're only going to do 4 gigs, because I like the idea of like, hey, you know, it's really exciting. We don't know what we're going to do or what the instruments are going to do, and but it's also a bit stressful.
I'm currently reading Stephen Morris from New Order, his book, and he makes it sound like they are so, and I bet they were at the time, and obviously some of these that you're working with sound like they are as well. Have they come on leaps and bounds, or is it still a case of with those old ones you've got to have someone with a brain like David to...
Definitely with the digital ones, because Dave's really good with, because you know he's got a maths degree, so he can program this like DX7, which is notoriously difficult to program. There's no knobs on it or anything like that. You can't go woo, you know, you can't do any of that.
Yeah.
Sort of knob twiddling sort of stuff, but they are like immensely powerful. But some of the inbuilt sounds, you know, you'll recognise them from all of those like kind of like power ballads or whatever from the 80s, you know. But you know, Brian Eno had loads of DX7s. Like, I think he just kept breaking them, you know, because Brian Eno could program them and make them do the things that he had in his mind. But, you know, again, he's a bit of a boffin as well.
Yeah, I did wonder what you were going to say when you made
boffin.
the face. I suppose as well, you know, if you change your mind about aspirations of arenas, some of these synth pushing pop stars from the 80s, they were doing it
well. I think
or at least
too
top
old
of the
for
pops.
that now. I think that was the other thing is about, you know, being like in my mid 40s now. I'm like, oh my god, I'm in my mid 40s. What am I going to do? You know, I'm not interested in the same things I was in, you know, my mid to late 20s or even my early, you know, it's like I need to do stuff which feels authentic to me, you know, feels like authentic. And I don't mean authentic in a kind of roots music kind of way, but just sort of let's be honest about what I want to do, because there's nothing worse, you know, in my mind than me pretending or trying to be like a pop star or a rock star or something like that. It's just like I tried that a little bit, I think in my early 20s. It wasn't a good look then. It's not going to be a good look now.
I really wish. So, for the listener, they won't know. Obviously, we started the chat with you jokingly with the guitar on your lap. I really wish that part you'd still had the guitar on your lap.
I could yeah, it's like sort of Bruce Springsteen style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, maybe it's best.
Maybe if I did that from day one, I'd be able to charge £200 a ticket, you know, to my stadium
shows.
gigs.
Yeah.
Man of the people.
Apparently so.
It'll be worth it though. He plays for a long time, so really, it's probably about £1 an hour.
300 quid a ticket. He should be.
Is it?
He should be taking your lead. I couldn't sit there for 3 hours. I must admit. I don't know what your stance is.
Probably not. Not standing. The beer would have to be tremendous.
The beer.
Yeah, the beer would have to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good. You know, just like a pint an hour would have to be amazing. But I reckon it wouldn't be at a stadium gig. It would just be pints of Carling Black Label. As you know, just imagining people drinking pints of Carling Black Label at a Live Aid or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Maybe if Bruce was pouring them. So we touch, you know, on the formulas, the territories and such.
Yeah.
This is probably a non-question, but is there anything that you'd ever or have ever done and you've said, you know, actually we're not going to do that, or that sort of genre, it's not something that I want to dip a toe in? Or
I mean, there's definitely genres I just couldn't do because I'm not technically proficient enough. Like I couldn't do jazz, even though it's the music that I probably listen to in the house the most, and I really love it. But I just couldn't do it on a technical level. They're like, you know, Duke Ellington and John Coltrane, you know, Herbie Hancock. They're like my heroes. They're the masters. Don't want to be even in that game because it's too good. And you know, metal as well. You know, like I'm probably getting too old for like kind of what metal is now, like contemporary metal. But I couldn't play the metal that I did like.
Yeah.
And I still do. You know, I still kind of like Metallica.
Yeah.
Still kind of like Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
But it's too fast. I just couldn't play it. It's just too fast. Like, come on, it's like I just couldn't play in that band. I think I might enjoy trying.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd make a record of it, which wouldn't be very good. It just wouldn't be very good.
I'd love to, if you ever want to do a crowdfunder for a field music metal record.
I mean, Black Sabbath sort of level.
Yeah.
I could go with that. Definitely go with that. I mean, I love Black Sabbath. It's got such a swing, like a heavy swing. Yeah. I'll put it to Dave. I'll see what he says.
Crack one
I think
out
that might be a
tonight.
solo thing. I can't imagine Dave's saying, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. You do that yourself, Peter.
Go on one of your explorations.
Yeah.
We discussed earlier the new records has even got you've had many collaborations over the years. Sarah, for you tell me she's with the band tonight.
Yeah, she's with the band, yeah.
But
thankfully.
But more importantly, your son, you were saying, has done a bit of guitar work on the record itself. What was that like, having him become involved? Because I remember doing a piece with one of the guys from Pigs Times 7.
Oh yeah.
And his little lad, I think he was a baby, and he, brushed his elbow on the keyboard and it made like a flourish, and he was like, that's going in. And
that's going in.
Yeah. So what was it like having your lad involved?
I mean, it was great for me, but he doesn't really want to be involved anymore. I don't think he thinks it's cool, but at the time, he's probably 8, and I showed him the track Blowdry Colossus, and he's like, what key is it in? I was like, I think it's in G minor. So I was scrubbing around, and then he just picked up the guitar, and he played just a G minor bar chord. Oh, Dad, I can play this bar chord, and he played along with it. And I was like, I hadn't thought about that rhythm being a part of the song. That's great. That I'll just let's record that. So we recorded it. It's on the record. But 4 months later, he wanted nothing to do with it. Dad, take my name off the album. I don't want to be on this. Heartbroken. But anyway, it's up to him. But his name's on the record. It's too late. His guitar's on there. Yeah, but that'll probably be the last time. He'll do his own. He's going to do his own thing. It's fine.
When he's selling out the arenas.
Well, I hope so. For my sake.
Yeah.
Don't do what I did, mate. Write some good songs. Come on, please. Write some popular, good songs.
As we touched on before, this kind of feeds into it. But years ago, when we spoke, you said you weren't too fussed about reception of something. It was more important that you did what you set out to do, and that you enjoyed it, and it was as intended.
Yeah.
How important is that still, particularly with the way music's consumed now? Because I find a lot of the narrative when people talk about, streaming services and such, that they're focused on just people who want to get to the top.
Yeah.
When reality is people who come to shows like we're at tonight, the Castle or one of the DIY venues or what have you, they're maybe not thinking about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking about that sort of thing. I mean, the thought does often cross my mind, thinking, oh God, if I just had one hit, that would be good, wouldn't it? But I mean, sometimes I think I've written songs that I think would, that sounds like a hit to my ears, but my ears aren't really what counts. Because I love popular music, I love popular music. I love the popular music that was intended for me, probably when I was into popular music, which is between 1980 and the year 2000, which is like great. I loved loads. Shakin' Stevens, yes. Wham, yes. Bros, yes. Madonna, yes. Kate Bush, yes. Like New Jack Swing, yeah, absolutely. And then you get grunge, yeah, okay, yeah, I'd see where this is going. It's like I was never into it, but I was into the Black Crowes. I was like, so I kind of missed that, but then I started, buying The Enemy or whatever it was, and then I got into all of that American R&B stuff, stuff which was produced by, like early Neptune stuff, like Outkast, he's released a new album, hasn't he, recently?
Yeah.
Meant to be old flute, but it's really not.
Oh, is it not?
No.
I heard the first song was a 13-minute.
There's no flute on the first song at all.
Oh, great. Okay.
Not to my ears.
Not that I don't like flute.
There's a flute tonight. Of course there is. Sarah Hayes is here. It's all
yeah.
flute. But anyway, I feel very lucky to have had that 20 years of popular music. I don't know what's going on really now with popular music. It's not really for me. It's not my world, my proper pop. So when I write something that I think, hey, that could have been a hit in 96 or 1982, or it's like, well, it's meaningless, it's like it doesn't mean anything to the zeitgeist, it has no place. But that just shouldn't mean I shouldn't do it.
Exactly, and that's the point, isn't it?
If there's like a little itch to scratch, what if you did this and
that's exactly it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. And I think that's what we'll continue to do, is like ask whenever we like write something, it'll be like, oh, what if, like whether it's like an idea of a lost future. It's like, what if the Beatles went to Japan instead of Hamburg?
Yeah.
Then let's do that, let's imagine that, or let's imagine something, imagine it's quite playful, it's quite whimsical, really. But, you know, I think we take it quite seriously, but, you know, we don't take ourselves... I've said this before to you, it's like, we don't take ourselves that seriously, which might be annoying to some people, or it might seem inauthentic, or it might seem like wasting everyone's time or something, or wasting our own time. I do wonder about that.
Talking about the past, you said for a thing that you did for the new record with us that you were a serious 14-year-old rocker. And that, that synths weren't real instruments.
Yeah,
true. When you heard Clapton doing his not so bluesy stuff, do you ever think that I know we've just talked about what's popular today, but do you ever think that maybe there'll be like a like-minded 14-year-old now who will, you know, hear this and that'll change them? Or I mean, a lot of clever kids out there.
There are, yeah. God, yeah. I mean, most 14-year-old kids I meet now are much smarter than I ever was. It's not saying much. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, I mean, that would be a nice thought. You know, to think that, you know, it's more likely like somebody's dad's playing it. yeah, that would be amazing, actually. Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know whether they'll have that, but it's not really on any like amazing like rock compilations. You know, that tape.
Oh yeah, what was it called?
Molten Metal.
Molten Metal. Yeah.
Soft rock, you know. It's like, oh yeah, molten metal.
Yeah.
Soft kind of.
I think you really, the daylight saving your record label should start putting out comps. Really.
Could do, yeah. I mean, we could probably make them ourselves. Actually, we're just like, right, we're gonna have. Yeah, like actually that'd be a really interesting, like, stylistic exercise, wouldn't it? Yeah, we're gonna like pick a name for a compilation and then just make 9 tracks pretending to be like different people. That sounds like too much hard work, actually. It sounds like too much hard work. No.
Maybe a charity thing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So, you're out doing solo shows at the minute. You've promised material from the week that was, and it's 15 years since its release.
We're not doing any week that was tracks.
Oh, you're not?
Nah,
okay.
Too hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of ties in with...
far too hard.
You just did your field music shows, which we were talking about earlier, and that was like, so it was 2005, the debut?
Yeah, so we did that, you know, like the class of 2005 or whatever it was, so it was like me, Dave and Andy just doing our little 3-piece rock and roll band.
But similarly, on Twitter, so with the week that was, you were saying some of this was too hard coming back to it. Reading on Twitter, David, I assume, was saying that a lot of the early field music stuff as well was also, you realised, quite ambitious when you came to relearn it.
Oh yeah, too. We didn't even try. To be honest, we were just like, nah, that's too hard. We know straight away that this cannot be done as a 3-piece band. You know, it just can't be done. So we didn't. Didn't even try. It would have been heartbreaking. We didn't really rehearse that much for the field music shows, to be honest. We thought, let's not over rehearse it. Let's be like, do our own little practice. Let's remember the songs, and then go and do them. And that was what was exciting about it, really.
And you said earlier, off tape, that Andrew pretty much straight back into it with the keyboard. Yeah, it took him kind of two rehearsals, I think, and then he was just kind of back to his usual self. So in all, how were the shows? And I assume it was just like getting back into it. And
I mean, I think they were maybe more enjoyable than any of the other shows me, Dave and Andy have ever done. Just because it was nice and loose. There wasn't the same level of anxiety where we were trying to recreate the record. We were just like, here's the songs, here's the material, how would we play this now? And we did. And it was good fun rather than it being us trying to recreate the sound or the arrangements of the record. You know, we were quite loose and sort of just quite, I don't know, splashing on the Jackson Pollock with the material, you know, it's like whatever. There you go. You get it. You know, to quote Jimmy Page, you know, they'll get the idea. You know.
Yeah. I mean, not just saying this because David's walked in, but I think you hinted it on the socials. New field music material potentially coming into the shows that were at the weekend. Obviously they're in the past. But Am I right in thinking there's new material on the way?
We're gonna do one new one. I think it's gonna be a field music song. I think.
Hope so.
We're gonna do like one new one tonight. I mean, we haven't really figured out what we're doing with it, but we're just gonna like just play a track. But we're gonna do it in a Blowdry Colossus way, so it's like heavily synthesized at the moment, rather than it being whatever field music's gonna be in the future. Yeah.
And the next stop, arenas.
And the next stop, stadiums.
Sorry.
Stadiums.
Yeah.
Stadiums. That's a joke, Dave. Don't worry
Watch
about
that
it.
man next.